Hi everybody. So, can you tell where I am? From Eau Claire, I bet you can. So, gosh, I was gonna go first to look for the choo-choo trains at Carson Park. I thought that'd be fun. And then I thought, oh no, I'm gonna go, because I was just at the Pablo Center for Performing Arts, across the way there. That's this one. That's the RCU headquarters. And the Christmas tree was still up on Monday. You know, it's not our Christmas season, but I thought, well, let's get the last ring of Christmas. There actually were some wreaths up on this walking bridge. And I'm trying to zip my coat up here. It's gone. I got close to where the Christmas tree was, and I thought it'd be, pretty. One last shot at it. They must have taken it down yesterday or today, because it was up Monday night. And here it is Wednesday. I'm getting a little... My camera's starting to lean a little bit. I got it perched on a hand railing, and it says stairs closed, so I'm maybe not really supposed to be here, but I didn't think I was doing any hurting anybody. So and I thought it'd be, it's Christmas somewhere. You know where it is Christmas? In the Armenian Orthodox Church. I heard that yesterday. I did a webinar. There was a broadcast live from Bethlehem about the political situation over there, and I listened in, and someone said that it's Christmas for the Armenians. So, we have our Christmas in the Western Church, 25th. You probably heard, because of the Ukrainian war, we've become more aware of the Orthodox Church, and so their Christmas was, I think it's always on January 7th. And because of the hostilities, because the Orthodox Church there is like, there's a Russian Orthodox Church, and so they got permission, if they wanted, in Ukraine, not to celebrate it on January 7th, but to do it on December 25th. But anyway, apparently the Armenian Church does it now, so even later than the Eastern Orthodox. So why, I'm not sure, but there's a church. The Armenian Church is important for us at St. James, because their cathedral church in Jerusalem is called St. James, and the head of St. James the Greater is under an altar. When I on my sabbatical there, I went to St. James Cathedral. They're known for their Vespers evening prayer. I think it's every day. Maybe it's once a week. I think it's every day. So a lot of chanting, a lot of ceremonial dress, a lot of incense. I was there on a very special day. I can't remember what the feast was, but they handed out basil, big globs of basil to everybody that came. Too bad I didn't have a kitchen. I could have made some great bruschetta, huh? But, so here comes some other walkers. Yeah, so it's this big deal. And then I'm noticing there's a side altar there, and people are all lined up to kind of go behind this wall where there's this side altar. And I was like, I wonder what that is, So curiosity, I walk over there, and sure enough, I said, what is this? And they said, well, this is where St. James' head is. He was martyred. And it's okay. But, so, by tradition, he was the first apostle to be martyred. He had his head cut off in Jerusalem, and then his body was taken over to Spain, where he was a great minister. Santiago, they called him. And so it's his body, I think, is buried in Santiago de Compostela, and his head there at St. James Church. I think that's tradition. I'll have to kind of review that. But anyway, so we have a little connection to the Armenian Church at St. James because of that. That's where his... I posted that on my Facebook when I was over there. Didn't get that many likes. I'm like, hey, this is where St. James' head is. And I thought people would think that's kind of neat from St. James, but maybe it sounded a little gory. I don't know. So there's no telling. Hey, so let's do some parish news. I got a few other things I can talk about a little bit here. So parish party this Saturday, 21st January. Right after the 4:30 Mass, you can head down there. Things won't start formally beginning until 6 o'clock. Maybe if I give like a real extended homily, the timing can work out right. So our 4:30 Mass will end at 6. Just kidding. But But if you're at Mass, you can go down there. It's no problem. But just the music and the food service and all that start at 6 o'clock. Okay, so that'll be good. It's kind of a thank you to the parish. Have a party. So the usual suspects who work so hard to organize things all the time and help out. We're hoping they can just enjoy the party. Yeah, but yeah, everybody's welcome. So and in case we get the winter blues, after the party, they creep back in. We're gonna have another fun party. Oh, here comes a corgi. Another event. So, one of our favorite fundraisers is Beth Cerny puts together these Italian dinners, homemade pasta, homemade sausage, all that. So this year, it's going to be on Sunday, the 19th of February, and that will be great. It will be, I'll tell you what it's going to be. Tortellini carbonara. Kelly said it'd be carbonaro. I said, no, you're mixing Italian and Mexican. It's habanero peppers and carbonara sauce for a pasta. I'm such a know-it-all. I'm a pain to be around. And then lasagna with the red sauce. So it's 2 premier pastas with some sausage. It's tiramisu for dessert. It'll be good. It's just going to be so good. Okay, so that'll be $30 a plate. Those tickets will go on sale real soon. Again, limited probably. I forget if they keep it at 50 people. And, it's a fundraiser. Occasionally we'll get a little feedback like, gosh, that's pretty expensive for dinner. Well, you'd certainly pay at least more than that at a restaurant. And it is a fundraiser for the parish. I don't mean to insult people's feedback, but I mean, it's a fair price and it is a fundraiser. So it'll be 30 bucks a pop. So anyway, and photo directory. We're having good turnout for that. We have people go by, they wonder what I'm doing. So we added 2 days, February 17th, that's a Friday, and February 18th, that is a Saturday. And the Friday one will be like from 2 in the afternoon until 8:30 in the evening. The Saturday one will be like from 10 in the morning until 3:50 in the afternoon. So you can sign up by calling the office or by going to the website. And after Masses this weekend, we should have the hard copies up on the bulletin board. So that's good. It's always nice to see people around coming to get their pictures taken, Hey, we can always bolster our Eucharistic ministers if people are feeling like, as I mentioned this, I could be a Eucharistic minister. You let Christine know. She schedules all that stuff, and it's always great to have more people that we can rely on and schedule for that. Really, any of our liturgical ministers. Seems like Eucharistic ministers and ushers are always kind of the most in demand. We're going to start training our servers. I've trained a few individually. We'll probably do it after mid-February because I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks, the first 2 weeks in February. I was kind of thinking about that St. James Cathedral in Jerusalem where the head of St. James is. Well, that's where I'm going to be. I'm going to be there for 2 weeks. We're going to be I'm going to be hosting a group with some nice Christian guides and drivers over there. They really need our help economically. So I always try to make Christianity, I just read today, used to be 30% of the Holy Land was Christian, like in 1948 or something like that. Now it's a 1%. And a city like Bethlehem that used to be like 80% is now like 5%, something like that. It's just really been hard to exist economically there, and so a lot of them emigrate. So it's really, honestly, it's one of the main reasons I try to go as often as I can with groups, is to support that Christian economy over there. There's this fear that our Christian shrines in the Holy Land will become like museums because the Christian population won't be there so much. So we hope that never happens. I'm in contact with a friend of mine that I made over there. She was one of our I don't know, she helped run our sabbatical program. And I want the guy who ran it, I want to see him too. He's a pastor in Bethlehem now. He's a Syrian Catholic Rite priest. He was a deacon. No, I don't think he was either. Yeah, he was a deacon when we were there. And, it's a different rite. They actually use their liturgical language as Aramaic, which is the language Jesus spoke. So that's pretty unique in our world. And so I hope to see these people. Anyway, this one I want to see in Jerusalem, I'm hoping maybe she can give a talk to our group, but I don't know. It's hard to schedule everything, nail everything down. But her name is Rawan, and I said, I thought she wanted something from the U.S. She said, if you ever come back, I love this Starbucks mint or something. So I texted her and I said, I'm coming. I'd love to bring you whatever you need from the U.S. And you know what she wants? This is maybe personal, but you don't know what I'm talking about anyway, so it's okay. Collagen pills. I didn't even know what they were. I guess they're really good for your complexion and for your hair. So I got a bunch of collagen pills I'm going to take over there, and I think she's going to really make her happy. So I guess it's not readily available. So go figure. Anyway, we're also going to start scheduling. I said ushers, Eucharistic ministers. We're also going to start scheduling gift presenters. So the bread and wine are offered. And you just pick a time. So the other, I think the other liturgical ministries, we kind of get a sense of your preferences, and then you get scheduled, and then you see when you're scheduled. The gift bearer one's gonna be a little different. You just pick I don't know how you're gonna say it, but you either do it online or you give Christine a call, and you or your family or a friend or however you want to do it could be a presenter of the gift. It's kind of a nice thing to do, actually. So it's nice to see a variety of people step up for that. I think during these years we usually have second grade families do it some of the time because they're preparing for the sacraments, and confirmation students as well. Yeah, speaking of which, we have first reconciliation tonight. So the second graders come. Father John Schultz, pastor previous to me at St. James, thankfully is going to come over and help. Going to feed them first though, and yeah. You know what I like to make if it's something good but it's quick? I just like to make some kind of pasta with a good sauce from a can or a jar, and then just buy some Italian sausages, kind of parboil them up for a while, and then just kind of fry them and brown them, and tasty. It's really tasty, so I think it'll be good. A little salad. So let's see. Yeah, is that all the parish kind of news? Maybe. So, siren. Speaking of street noises, boy, I woke up today, and all day, all I've been hearing, it sounds, honestly, not that I would actually know what this sounds like, it sounds like dinosaurs giving birth. It's like this. I'm like, what is that? And it's all throughout Eau Claire today, because it warmed up a little bit. The streets have been just terrible. The main streets were salted and were okay, but the side streets, like we're all around St. James, they're just iced and rutted with ice. And so these heavy, I guess I don't know if they're called graders or scrapers, but these city vehicles that just come and just plow through all that ice and get under it, and then we all got to shovel our driveways with those kind of heavy sand encrusted ice chunks. That's today. That's what's going on today. But it's just all day I've been hearing those sounds, and it's like, what is that? Then I finally figured it out. And now it's a siren. So hope whoever that's for is okay. Allow me to vent. So Monday night I said I was over at the Pablo there, right? They had we used to have the Martin Luther King celebration over at St. James. The last couple of years they've been having it at the Pablo, and it's good. It's always good to be reminded of Dr. King's message of Christian nonviolence, and his pursuit of justice and equality for people, and to challenge, racism where it exists. And anyway, it's always a good celebration. It's good music and good reflective time. I heard a very young man, I think about 23 years old, who's working at the university in town here, and his task was to talk about how young black men or people see Martin Luther King, and it's pretty good. I mean, it's very good. It's very thoughtful, very well presented. And he said the one thing I remember, he said, when I was a boy, I wanted to be Michael. And Michael Jordan, fancy himself, big basketball player, right? He said, and as I grew up a little more, I got to be an older teen. Then I wanted to be Martin. I thought, what a kind of a neat way to describe a life journey, from wanting to be Michael to wanting to be Martin Luther King. So I thought that alone was cool. It was a good talk, and I wanted to really listen to it more, but I was distracted. And here's where I'm going to vent. I don't mean to be too judgy, but there's a woman in front of me, and her friend, and she was clapping at different points of the night. If people were calling for certain things that she agreed they should clap, but like 90% of the time in this darkened theater, pulled out her phone, and gosh. And I couldn't help it. I was kind of looking, because it was bright right in front of me in this darkened space, and just going through Facebook stuff, looking at emails, turning it off, picking it up. And sometimes I expect that from younger people, but she's about my age, I think. I was like, oh, come on. And I really, I'd never do it. I'd never want to challenge someone that way, I guess. But I thought maybe if I was more, I don't know what Martin Luther King would have done if he would have had the courage to nonviolently just tap her on the shoulder and say, I think that man put a lot of time into this talk, and why don't you give it a listen? You're here, so, oh gosh. But then I thought, well, I'm being too judgy. So they always say the things that bother us most, that bug us most, are kind of our own issues too. So I guess I do that a lot. So in fact, the next day, I'm going to the post office. I had this whole story about my chalice. I'm sending out my chalice to get restored. And anyway, I'm at the post office. I want to get insurance on it and all this stuff. So on the way in, there's a guy behind me, like 10 yards, and he says, hey, what about this weather, huh? Because it was kind of warm. It was like 39 degrees or something. And I said, yeah, social guys, it's great. He wasn't expecting it. No. So then we get in, and he holds the door for people and everything. And we always kind of say hello. He's behind me in line. And there's just a little lull in the conversation. I wasn't really sure what to do so much. And so I pull out my phone. We're sitting in line. There's about 3-4 people in front of us. I start going through emails, looking through all this stuff, and I thought, oh gosh, this is what I was kind of complaining about the other night at the Martin Luther King celebration. And then I just noticed while I had mine out, I said, I bet you that guy doesn't have his phone out. So I just kind of turn and look. No, you're just kind of standing there with this package, just kind of open to the world around him. So I put my phone in my pocket and we chatted, and it was a good chat. I forget exactly what we were chatting about, but you can't beat just good old human connection. And so I'm as guilty as anybody. But it's a challenge, I wonder, when I saw her sort of compulsively going through that during that talk, I was just, I don't know, I got the book, I didn't get too very far in it. Actually, it started really kind of strange, so I wouldn't recommend the book, but it was all about how we're becoming a nation of addicts. And what are we addicted to? They said the neurochemical dopamine. And it's like any kind of great sort of stimulation. It could be from Cheetos or, whatever. It's kind of a feel-good thing. And I think a lot of gamers, that would be like a dopamine thing. Hey. And, you just get used to having stimulation, and you get this kind of dopamine in your system, and you need it. And so just sitting doing nothing, you start to feel bad. And so you do something. So she might have been listening to this guy, and it was real kind of a thoughtful presentation he may have been giving. But it wasn't that stimulating. It was just a guy talking at a podium. And so then out comes the phone. Oh, I'm going to go see him. Who's. And I thought, oh gosh, And then I wonder, we're a lot of concerned in the church that, where are we going with church membership? It seems to be, nationally, we're kind of holding our own at St. James, and yet there's a lot of young families that just don't see anymore, haven't seen since COVID, and it's like, Is it that? Is it because church is just some guy or gal speaking at the podium, and it's just not that? So people go to church and they don't feel good because they're not being real stimulated. I don't know. There's probably lots and lots of reasons. I wonder if that's one. But anyway, I enjoyed that post office guy. He was a moment of grace to me that week. Hey, I wanted to read something. I'm reading this book. This is our book club book. And I'm getting a lot of people that are reading it are saying it's really good. And I'm only this far, about halfway. And people are saying the second half is really good. So I hope I have some good quality time, not just to race through it, but to savor it. But so Martin Luther King. Chancellor Schmidt gave a nice talk. He always does, the chancellor of the university here. And he said, reviewing Martin Luther King's writings again, he just couldn't get over how opposite it is of just the rhetoric of hate and opposition and polarization like in our politics today. Because Martin Luther King's deal was he wanted change, but it all had to be based in love. He didn't want to, there's a lot of little quotes, I can't think of the clever ones, but he wanted to, he didn't want to defeat the enemy, he wanted to make friends with the enemy. Convinced that treating everybody with equal dignity was a good thing. And then if you're kind of an oppressor and you don't want people with darker skin to use the same drinking fountain as you, that's not good for you. And so we can kind of help you change that. It'll be good for you. We want to be friends. So it's kind of confrontational when there's evil, but it's not like I'm opposed to you. It's like I'm opposed to this idea. So there's this love underneath the whole thing, which is just, how absent is that today in our politics in our world? Like completely, right? So that said, it was good for me to hear again, because I've been attracted to gospel nonviolence for a long, long time now. But it's easy to kind of lose track of it and forget it. People disagree with us on stuff, our enemies, versus just people we're in a relationship with and can dialogue with. And if we're really convinced that our positions are good and true, just kind of hold on and don't hate anybody along the way, but just try to be able to explain yourself. And anyway, that's a great thing from King. So this is in this book, though. I wanted to read this since it's Martin Luther King week this week. So he was protesting in the South and Montgomery, Alabama, and he got a note. It was during the now famous bus boycott, the Rosa Parks. So he got a note, he got back to us, he said, "Leave Montgomery immediately if you have no wish to die." And he got frightened. Well, that was a phone message. Someone called him on the phone. He hung up the phone, he walked to the kitchen. Trembling hands put on a pot of coffee and sank into a chair at his kitchen table. He described what happened afterwards in these words. So this is a book that he wrote in 1958 called Strive to Freedom, about an experience in Montgomery in 1956. It's 3 paragraphs, so just kind of settle in and listen to this. Martin Luther King's writing. "I was ready to give up. With my cup of coffee sitting untouched before me, I tried to think of a way to move out of the picture without appearing a coward." So that's to leave Montgomery, to save his life. "In this state of exhaustion, when my courage had all but gone, I decided to take my problem to God. With my head in my hands, I bowed over the kitchen table and prayed aloud. The words I spoke to God that midnight are still vivid in my memory. Here they are. I am here taking a stand for what I believe is right. But now I am afraid. The people are looking to me for leadership, and if I stand before them without strength and courage, they too will falter. I'm at the end of my powers. I have nothing left. I've come to the point where I can't face it alone." At that moment, I experienced the presence of the divine as I had never experienced God before. It seemed as though I could hear the quiet assurance of an inner voice saying, "Stand up for justice, stand up for truth, and God will be at your side forever." Almost all at once, my fears began to go. My uncertainty disappeared. I was ready to face anything. Isn't that awesome? That was in the context. This part of the book was talking about when we have a dark night, when we're just not feeling a lot of the consolations of God. So in Martin's case this night, where he was really, fear overcame him, and he just kind of poured out his heart real honestly to God. That's a theme in here I picked up. The kind of prayer that I am most aware of, that I don't do so often, that I'm picking up in this book, is when things aren't going well, talk to God out loud. Just find it, or if you're in a place where you couldn't, then not out loud, but if you can do it, just out loud, pour out your heart where it's broken, and let God be with God, and let God be with you. Some really uplifting things can happen, right? Some other stuff in here that's pretty great too, but let's see. Oh, Barb wrote some great stuff. I always read sort of my thoughts. She read this book and she can't join us for the discussion. She said, I found a challenge in the book's title, Let Your Heartbreak Be Your Guide. I've been so blessed with all I need for a comfortable life, healthy children, grandchildren, extended family and friends to support me, faith community whose care and concern is evident. It's not so easy to focus on things like world hunger, poor in our country, around the world, racism, injustice. I'm asleep at the wheel. I need more awareness to let my heart break, so I'm energized to act on these things. In many places in the book, I discovered the challenge of not just giving lip service, but actually having the courage of speaking out and doing what is needed. I have a beautiful, incredibly thoughtful biracial granddaughter, and so I believe that I am sensitive to racism when it emerges. Jokes, the use of certain words, comments made in passing, but I don't always have the courage to speak out, and that ends now. Finally, I love the last section on prayer. Anyway, so I appreciated receiving that note, and I just wanted to share that with you. Some other great stuff in here, so I'm sure I'll have a few more quotes next week. I don't want to just read to you tonight. So, the Pope today, what am I at? 30 minutes, oh no. Pope today, he had a general audience. I love, they're about 6-7 hours ahead of us, so you get like his Sunday homilies when you wake up in the morning. It's kind of nice. But he talked about how we should all be good shepherds. If we want to know how to be a follower of Jesus, we should be good shepherds. We shouldn't be afraid of going after people that are lost. He was talking a little bit about when people leave church, that we should not just say, well, they got to work that out on their own, but engage them if they're our friends or our neighbors. And honestly, I'm not so good at that myself. I'm the pastor, but I know people leave for personal reasons. But it doesn't just do leaving the church. It's like when people are suffering, go out to them with the love of the Good Shepherd. He called us to have, just at his general audience today in the Vatican. He called the people there, so it wasn't just talking to priests and pastors, it's talking to everybody. Talk about a love that suffers, is willing to suffer, and is willing to take risks. And this was sort of chilling to me. He said, if we don't have a love that is willing to suffer and take risks, to go out to people, then we risk being pastors only to ourselves. Oh, pastors only to ourselves. That sounds pretty self-absorbed, doesn't it? That's why we can fall into that. I know I was praying maybe I'll mention it this weekend, but the call of the disciples who are from the sea when they're fixing their nets and everything. He says, I'm going to make you fishers of people, drop your nets. And it's interesting that he called them and they followed him. And the charge wasn't like, I'm going to fulfill all your desires and make you a whole person, or it's not about you. I'm calling you to get others, to preach, to spread the word. So, gosh, and I'm I don't know, I shouldn't accuse everybody, but for the most part, I really do use spirituality to help myself kind of cope and have confidence in life and all those things. And but so much of the gospel is other-centered. It's all going out, being assured of God's acceptance of us. Paul Tillich's definition of salvation that I like so much, accepting the fact that we're accepted, and going out and spreading that kind of love and being a loving person in the world, So, all right, well, tonight we got First Reconciliation. I got to go buy those Italian sausages, and we're pretty late on the time here anyway, so let me just close with this joke. We're going to have the Good Shepherd reading tonight for our First Reconciliation. Father Blanker, I always tell this joke to see if they get it. Father Blanker of happy memory, he told this joke and I heard it and I always remember it. So I hope they learn, by the way, to have this relationship with Christ and to have confession not just be kind of a unfelt listing of known offenses, but really, how could I be following Jesus better? What do I do that gets in the way of following Jesus? How can I experience your forgiveness and new beginnings and new enthusiasm to become more like Jesus? That's where I hope we end up with this sacrament of reconciliation, But anyway, so Good Shepherd reading it, he goes after 99 sheep. So there's 26 sheep. One of them dies. How many are left? The answer is 19. So I'll leave you with that. And we'll maybe say a little prayer. Loving God, these snowy days, we're getting some weather again tonight. You see the confluence here, the Eau Claire River coming from there and the Chippewa down. We thank you for converging in our life. We thank you for your presence, the way your Spirit flows through us. Help us to notice, help us to appreciate, help us to desire your life in us, and to be grateful, and to be courageous in serving others. God bless you all. Bye-bye.